What is up, dudes and lady dudes? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today, we're talking about the last 20 cards revealed for Rise of the Duelist. The set comes out in, actually less than 2 weeks. It's like a week and a half at this point, which is about right when we would be getting all these cards revealed, which is really nice. They're all TCG exclusives, I believe, so it's nothing, or not TCG, they're all imports, my bad. They're all OCG imports. That's literally the opposite of what I meant to say. Because I think what's happening is in Phantom Rage we're getting 17 TCG exclusives, so there's only 3 imports in that set, and so I think Konami was like, maybe we just use this set to pump out like a bunch of imports. You've got imports building up, we got to get them into the TCG somehow, so they're going to throw them in here, which is fine. They don't have to be the best things in the world. The set's already pretty good. We've got 2 new good archetypes that are most likely going to join the meta. We've got a handful of really good generic cards like droplets and tactical talents and stuff. So the deck definitely has stuff to offer. It didn't need this to round it out, but yeah, without further ado, let's just get through it. I'm not going to read all these cards in depth. I've already gone through them in my personal time, and they're all imports. So we've already seen these cards in news videos and stuff. So yeah. Starting off here, we have a new Abyss Actor card. It's fine. It gives an Abyss Actor monster 3 attacks during the battle phase, and then this card can attack 3 times during each battle phase, but it's only 1,000 attacks, so you have to buff it for it to be anything scary. But maybe it's a one-of. If you have a way to buff it, I don't know what the deck does necessarily, thoroughly, so maybe if the deck has a way to buff this consistently, this could be a one-of. So you can search it and then just get it to the field to buff it, and then just run over a bunch of stuff. That could be a potential play. Next up, we have a Perform Pal card, Gardener. This card's a huge defense card. It makes a defense position monster you control gain a ton of defense, and then it itself gains defense equal to all the combined defense of all Perform Pals you control. It's pretty cool, but again, what does it do? It doesn't really do much for you. It's a high scale, which is kind of nice, but that's about it. Next up, we have Odd Eyes Revolution Dragon. This card's actually kind of cool. It's Pendulum Effect. He locks you out of being able to, when he's in the scale, he locks you out of being able to pendulum summon anything but dragons, but he also just once per turn can target actually it's not even once per turn. What? Okay, it's not even once per turn. You can target 1 dragon, fusion, synchro, or exceed monster in your graveyard and just destroy this card, and if you do special summon. Oh, that's why it's not once per turn, because it destroys itself. So you destroy this card and then you revive it. So as long as you summoned anything correctly out of Dragon Fusion, Synchros, or Xyz, you can just revive them to the field. It's actually pretty cool. And then it's on field, or it's not on field. It's a monster effect. He can be pitched to the graveyard and pay 500 life points to add any level 8 or lower dragon pendulum monster from your deck to your hand. Which is pretty cool. There's a couple of interesting targets there. Stuff like Dark Worm. There's stuff the new prize card that just got reprinted. I know it's still kind of expensive, but the card is really insane. I mean, we saw it during Thunder Dragon format how insane that card was, because all the best players were playing it, and so this card can just straight up search that, I believe. And then there are probably some other Dragon Pendulum cards that I don't know about off the top of my head that this card can search too. So that's pretty cool. Cool card, definitely an interesting card. Could potentially come up. We have a couple of new DD cards. Arc is fine. This card, the reason these cards are interesting but not at the same time is they're only good when you're playing against pendulum decks. This one negates pendulum monsters when they're summoned. This one can just pop pendulum monsters. But that's all they do. They don't do anything to regular monsters, so it's only good in the pendulum matchup. So they're interesting, but just so specific, right? Alright, next up we have Win the Wind Channeler. I'm really excited to see this card put into this set. I've been looking forward to getting this card for so long now, it feels like. Really glad it's here because I just think that gets us started with getting more. So I think now that we have this, Konami's going to be okay, let's get more of them out. Let's get churning, and hopefully it's going to be one of those things like the Charmer Links where we can just get one of these a set, right? And we just 4 sets later we have all 4, and we're good to go. And then all these random decks can make use of it. If you don't know what it does, it can essentially search any wind monster with 1500 or less defense from your deck to the hand by discarding it and another wind monster. It locks you into wins for the rest of the turn, so it definitely is a very specific card in what kind of decks can play it. But there are a couple decks that can, Speedroids are an interesting deck for it because you can search the best starter in your deck. Ritual Beasts are a really interesting one because they're entirely wind. Anything that's all wind is pretty interesting with this because it just gets you to your best starters. Ritual Beasts specifically because they struggle to open hands with the right cards that you usually want. So just really nice with that. So yeah. Moving on, we have Cela, the Luminous Lunar Dragon. This card's another interesting card. Like, oh, I just realized. So, like, okay, this card says you can normal summon or set him without tributing, but his attack goes down to 1500. And then he has a quick effect during either main phase that lets you target a monster your opponent controls with less attack or equal attack than this card. So, if you had to use that normal summon, he'd be 1500. So, you would only be able to target something 1500 or less. You return this card to the hand, and if you do, you take control of that opponent's monster till the end phase. So obviously you lose a lot of utility because you won't be able to take any monsters, like, except for ones that are 1500 or lower. I mean, that's stuff like Hulk, and there definitely are stuff like Adamantipator. You can take stuff Jet Synchron versus, like, Outlish. Like, there definitely are things you can take, for sure. But you definitely lose a lot of utility there. And then, what am I thinking? Oh, so what I was thinking is, I was like, oh, but you know what? If I can special summon this off of, like, Heavenly Spheres, then we're good to go. And I just realized now that Heavenly Sphere is special something, and then it makes its attack 0. It makes its attack and defense 0. So I was like, oh, no, it's worse. You literally can't do anything unless it has exactly 0 attack, which is terrible. So, I don't know. It's a cool card, nonetheless, because I like that it bounces itself back to hand, so you just have it as discard fodder. A normal summon that's extra disruption on the following turn. Like, that's actually pretty cool in my opinion. Definitely an interesting dragon card, especially if you can just get out of the deck. I mean, you could just theoretically, LP it out of the deck, and there you go. You have, like, a crackdown during your opponent's turn, stealing anything that's 2400 or less, which is actually pretty cool. Alright, next up we have Ret-Time Reviver Emitter. It's a fairy tuner. It's pretty cool because it lets you target a monster on each side of the field, yours and your opponent's, flip them face down, and then you special summon this card from hand or grave. It gets banished when it leaves the field next, but that's actually pretty cool because it can already, like, take care of a threat on your opponent's field. You know what I mean? Like, oh, flip a Conductor Tyranno down. Like, oh, you're either going to bait a Savage or they're going to have to fire the Savage right then, right there. And they probably will because they feel like if he's down, they have a much chance that they will give you the body. So it probably just baits in a gate. But then you go, like, normal summon. And they go, there's my tuner, link it to Hockey Firebacks, bing, bang, boom. Right? Actually pretty cool. Next up we have Speedroid. A couple of Speedroid cards are actually pretty cool. This one just, when it's used as Synchro material, gives you a token with the level of the Synchro monster summon. So if you make, like, a 7, you can summon this, and then if you can just put, like, a level 1 tuner out, you can, like, potentially get into, like, a Synchro 8, which is pretty cool. So it lets you, like, it just gives you extra bodies to, like, keep going up, which is pretty cool. Speedroid Cart Turbo, very cool. If you control a wind monster, you can just special summon from the hand. And then he says you can only activate wind monster effects to the end of the turn, which is honestly kind of a bummer because, like, his extender effect is, like, not even that crazy, but fine. And then his other effects is you can banish him and another Speedroid from grave to make all wind monsters you control gain 800 till the end of the turn. Allow you to get over certain things, allow you to push for extra damage, like, nothing crazy. We have one more DD card. It's DD Dog. He can target a fusion, synchro, or exceed monster your opponent controls and negates effects till the end of the turn, then destroy this card in scale. That's a scale effect, obviously. And then its monster effect says if your opponent summons a fusion, synchro, or exceed monster, you can target one of them. That monster cannot attack this turn. Also, its effects are negated. Like, also a pretty good effect because while there are link decks out there, a lot of these decks are going links into synchros, and so that, like, their end board wants to go into synchros. So this card kind of says, okay, go Savage. You go Savage, but then he negates Savage from equipping a card, and Savage can't just run him over this turn. So you'll have another turn to get rid of that Savage, which is pretty cool, honestly. Pretty cool card. We have Performer Val, Odd Eyes Metal Claw. This is another cool one. If he's summoned using Polymerization specifically, he just becomes a Towers, a 3000 monster that's unaffected by card effects. And when he declares an attack, all monsters you control gain 300 attack until the end of the battle phase. So if he's attacking, he becomes 33, and then makes all your other monsters a little bit stronger. So pretty interesting card, honestly. He takes an Odd Eyes and a Perform Pal, but I don't know. He gives the deck access to Towers, potentially. Pretty cool. Rampaging Smash Tank Rhino Saber. What the hell is going on right now? Alright, this card's kind of weird. You can discard any number of cards. This card will gain 700 attack for each card discarded. If you're not playing a graveyard-centric deck, I don't think we're really doing that. But also at the end of the battle phase, if he battled, you can send him to the grave to revive monsters whose levels combine to make level 7, and their effects are negated. So I don't know how that comes up specifically, but, like, I guess there could be some combos that are, like, interesting there that I don't know, like, off the top of my head. definitely, because he does just get you bodies back, which is pretty cool. But you also have to battle that turn, so yeah, kind of a lot of requirements to get him to fire off. We have 2 new Raid Raptor, well, not even new, 2 Raid Raptor Exceeds. We have the Arsenal Falcon and the Revolution Falcon Air Raid. Arsenal Falcon's pretty good because you can just once per turn detach material to special summon a level 4 Wing Beast from deck. And if this card has a Raid Raptor monster as material, it can attack up to that many times during each battle phase. Oh, so it attacks for each number of Raid Raptor monsters as material. It can attack each time for those. So that's actually pretty cool. You can attack multiple times there because he's a 2500 beater. And then if it's sent to the graveyard while a Raid Raptor monster is attached as material, you can special summon a Raid Raptor Exceed from your extra deck, except for another Arsenal Falcon, and if you do, attach this card as material. This card's great. I mean, like, it gets you a special summon from deck, any level 4 Wing Beast monster, not even Dark, just any level 4 Wing Beast is also interesting. He can attack a bunch of times as a 2500 beater, and just being sent to grave, you could link him off if you want to, or overlay on top and detach him as material, and this card would get you an extra Raid Raptor Exceed on the field. It's pretty strong. This card is definitely really strong. And then we have Revolution Falcon. This card can also be Exceed summoned by using a rank up magic spell and a rank 5 or lower Raid Raptor Exceed, and then of course give this card as material and all of its materials. If this card is Exceed summoned, you can target a monster your opponent controls, destroy it, and if it was face up, inflict damage to your opponent equal to its attack on the field. That's really nice because we have rank up spells that are quick effects, so you could quick effect rank up into this on your opponent's turn, which would then trigger this card to just get you a pop of any monster, so you can just kind of dry it your opponent, which is pretty cool. And then if this card is destroyed by an opponent's card and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon another Raid Raptor Revolution Falcon, but the regular version from your extra deck, and if you do, attach this card as material. So they both float, which I love. I think they're actually both really good, and I think they're both immediately playable in Raid Raptors. So excited to see these cards. I think I definitely want to pick them up. Linklebel, this is just a generic link too. You can only summon this card if you have 3 or more cards in your extra deck than your opponent. Weird, weird stipulation, but yeah, it's generic. Super Heavy Samurai Scarecrow. It's a cool card. He can't be used as link material. He's a link 1, which is good, but if you have no spell or trap in your graveyard, you take no battle damage, and you can discard a monster to target a Super Heavy Samurai monster in grave. Special summon it to a zone this card points to in defense position. Kind of cool. Puts him on board and another Samurai in one turn, which is kind of nice. They definitely needed help with that. So yeah. We have Yami Nabe Party. This one's a weird one. It just says, like, at the start of the battle phase, you can target a face-up monster you control. This turn, your opponent chooses its attack targets, but, like, it gets to, like, double its attack, essentially. So, again, like, super cheeky, not very good, but it's a continuous. You get to use it every turn, I guess. We have Revenge Rally. This card lets you target a monster your opponent controls and equip it with this card. It gains 500, which is not very good for you, but also, if the monster is sent to the graveyard, or leaves the field, if the monster equipped leaves the field, you get to draw a card. But if the monster leaves the field the same turn you activated this card, you get to draw 2 cards and discard 1 card. So it's kind of an interesting draw card because it puts your opponent in almost like that max C situation where you're like, go ahead and play your deck. Because if you do, you're giving me draws. I could draw into hand traps. I could draw into cards that are just going to let me play through your board going second. Like, go ahead. Go ahead and give me some Phantasme type draws. Do it. Right? You know what I mean? So they might just be like, oh man, I don't even want to let my monster leave the field to get them those draws. Man. You know what I mean? Alright. And then there's DD Crow. What I'm expecting this to be is a Starlight Rare, just like Effect Veiler was. I think they're kind of going back and picking out some classic hand traps to give the Starlight treatment for some collectability in the set, which is really cool. I like the idea a lot. So, DD Crow, most likely going to be a Starlight Rare. I am not opposed to it. I won't be picking up my own because money. But, yeah, it's still a cool card. So, that's it there. Those are the 20 new cards we're getting out of the set, guys. Let me know your thoughts down below on what you think about these. I know there's some really interesting ones. I have my eyes on Revolution Dragon, Win the Wind Charmer, Luminous Lunar Dragon, Reviver Emitter. The Speedroid cards are honestly helpful for Speedroids, but that's very specific. DD Dog's not bad. I think both the Raid Raptor Exceeds are actually pretty spicy combined with the support of, that we're getting in Phantom Rage, which is dope. And then we have Super Heavy Samurai, Revenge Rally, and DD Crow. Also kind of interesting. I don't think Revenge Rally is going to be very good because it's a trap. If it wasn't a trap, it'd be interesting. But that's kind of how we're going here, guys. Let me know your thoughts down below on all these new cards. What do you think is interesting here that you'll be making use of? And let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.